Some families of the victims from the Sandy Hook, horrible Sandy Hook shooting in 2012 are suing the gun manufacturer Remington, who was the maker of the gun that was used in the shooting. Now, in response to that, the gun maker is looking into the records, or requesting the records, some school records, some grade records, and disciplinary records from some of those children that are no longer with us. Let's get into some of the details as to why this is possible and why they're doing this. Some of the background of this lawsuit is the families sued Remington for wrongful death, accusing it of having recklessly marketed the military-grade Bushmaster to civilians. Remington has argued that the Bushmaster is a legal firearm, and the sale of the one used in the school shooting to the perpetrator's mother was actually legal. So the family's lead attorney on this, Joshua Koskoff, said that Remington subpoenas covered the kindergarten and first grade records for the 5 student victims whose families are suing: Jesse Lewis, Daniel Barden, Dylan Hockley, Benjamin Wheeler, and Noah Posner. Now, also there was also some adults that were victims that day, and they also looked for the Remington was looking for the records of them, sometimes some background on them, trying to see what other kind of dirt they can find on those adults that were also murdered that are no longer with us. So the attorney for the families was trying to figure out why this is going on and had this statement to say. In mid-July, the defense served a subpoena on the Newton Public School District seeking any and all educational records in your possession, including but not limited to application and admission paperwork, attendance records, transcripts, report cards, disciplinary records, correspondence, and any and all other educational information and records pertaining to each of the 5 first graders whose estates are plaintiffs in this particular case. And that same attorney went on to say, there's no conceivable way that these records will assist Remington into defense, and the plaintiffs do not understand why Remington would invade the family's privacy with such a request, but nonetheless, this personal and private information has been produced to Remington. So Remington did get the information for these 5-year-olds, for I think it was kindergarten and first graders, about their school records, their attendance records, and their grades. Their grades. Yeah. And I'm still trying to figure out what it is that they wanted to do with this information.
Yeah, so I get 2 aspects to this story. First, look, I know the lawyers are paid to try to dig up dirt on the other side when you're in a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. But I'm with JR, that's the thing that stuck out to me. How could the grades of a kindergartner ever be relevant when they were shot and had nothing to do with the shooting? Like, did they provoke the shooter by not getting good enough grades in kindergarten? Like, there's no logical connection at all. It's like asking for their dental records. I mean, it's gratuitous, and they should have known that it would be received poorly. When you ask family members who've lost kids, hey, I want to see how they did. And did they have any disciplinary problems in kindergarten or first grade before they were murdered? Huh? Nah, it's all of this is beyond the pale. The second point is, look, the lawsuits obviously having a very significant effect, and now they're bankrupt twice over, and they haven't even lost the suit yet. And so now Texas passes a law saying, hey, we're gonna empower people, citizens, to sue for $10,000 if they think a woman has had an abortion past 6 weeks. They would sue the clinic, not the woman, right? Well, can we do that? Can a blue state pass a law saying I'm gonna give you $10,000 if you sue gun manufacturers for any shooting that happens in our state? Well, that would bankrupt them real quick. If it's good enough to take away women's rights in Texas, why isn't it good enough to actually protect our lives in blue states? I would require, of course, Democrats being creative, and which doesn't take that much creativity, but having courage. And of course, I've never seen that from a Democratic leader.
You were saying that they might, sorry, Brett, 1 second. If you were saying that they might not see how this may go over so badly. Well, there's other parts of that too, because when they were also, when Remington was supposed to supply some internal communications that was throughout the company to help in this case to see some information. Again, from Vice News, Remington previously responded to a discovery request for its internal company communications by producing more than 18,000 unsorted files that contained memes, cartoons, and ice bucket challenge videos. So in this serious case where we're talking about children that were murdered, and then information was requested about the internal communications within the company, they said, oh, we'll just give you everything. It doesn't matter if it's maybe cartoons, memes, and ice bucket challenge videos. It really showed how much. Now, they may notice that it's not a good look publicly and when these types of stories come out, but they just don't care. Is really the main thing. And you point out how they have gone to bankruptcy a couple times, but they did offer these families a $33 million settlement to these plaintiffs, and which that amounts to about $3.7 million per family, and the plaintiffs have yet to respond to that particular offer. So we'll see where that goes. Maybe they think that's it. We're offering 3.7 to each family. Now we can laugh and joke and get their records and then maybe post that around. I don't know. I'm still looking for the reason for why this could happen, because I don't know if they think this is gonna get them a win in this trial.
Right.
Yeah, so the question I have is like, that $3.7 million per family settlement, does that vary based on whether the kid got an A in drawing? Like, are they gonna use both of those and be like, this kid, because we subpoenaed your records and your son got it like a check plus in, works well with others, we're gonna give you more money because he's worth more to us? It's sick and twisted no matter how you look at it. And when it boils down to it, like, I keep coming back to like them wanting to know these kids' like records. That is the one that makes me throw up. The document dumping, that's standard, where you're like, oh, you wanted to get some of our documents that might be germane to this. They do that all the time. People with deep pockets and huge lawyers, all they do is they say, well, we know that this is costing you money every hour that some clerk or some first year associate at your law firm needs to sift through all the documents we have. So they just send everything. And the fact that it's ice bucket challenge is insulting. The fact that they're looking for kids' disciplinary records, or even the adults that were there, is insulting. It's so demoralizing every time, like, you remember that this is part of this.
Brett
case.
brought up a good point about this, because I'd forgotten, and my kid's only 9, so it's not like I don't realize this. At those levels, the kinds of grades that kids get is check plus and works well with others, able to freely move about and handle their own issues and things like that, like developmental things that they can do within a classroom setting. Those are the kind of grades that you get. They're not learning the kinds of things where you have to be then tested on your multiplication and your division and your long division and then your English work and then your history work. That stuff isn't happening in kindergarten and stuff like that. The kinds of records you get, then what are you gonna do with those? It's even those kinds of records.
They need to get a lot of records because the shooter came in, and because he could shoot a lot of people at the same time with the weapon that he bought from Remington, he murdered 20 of those kids and 6 teachers. So I think that might be a little bit more germane to the case.
It's sick. It's just absolutely sick. I don't know how else to describe it.